welcome to Aussie Tech Security episode 7. I hope this episode finds you well. We are brought to you by rniconsulting.com.au for all your security technology needs. Go and have a chat to Roger at rniconsulting.com.au or find him on the Twitter at SME Security. And also by athwebhosting.com.au. So if you need some nice, safe, secure, affordable, Australian-based hosting server space, jump on the internets and go to athwebhosting.com.au. All right, now on episode 7, guess who we've got? We've got Roger. Hello, Roger.
Hey, Glenn, how are you?
Not too bad, thanks. How's life been?
Good, except it hasn't stopped raining for the last week and a half. So.
Now for those that don't know, Roger's down in Canberra, in the nation's capital, and I do believe it has been a bit rainy down there.
Oh, it's been bloody horrible.
Yes. I know someone who's just put on a Wi-Fi reporting system onto their solar panels, and since they've put it on, it has nothing but rained down there in Canberra. So
yes,
so they're not getting true readings.
All right, using IoT, eh? Very nice.
Yes. Oh, we might talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Yes. Now we've got a couple of things we do want to talk about. We will start that right now. Okay. Now, first of all, the question that I can pose: how can small businesses, how can they level the playing field against the bigger and other businesses competing using technology?
Well, it's an interesting question if you think about it. But one of the good things about small and medium businesses is they're a lot more agile, and by being more agile, they're going to be able to see opportunities where a large organisation won't be able to go. You can augment these opportunities by using the right technologies behind them. So it does mean that you can sit there and go, I can see an opportunity there. What have we got in place, or what do we need to put in place to make that opportunity a money spinner for the business?
Because I suppose, as you can imagine, a smaller business it'd be more agile than a bigger one. So a bigger one, someone says, "Oh, John Smith over there's got a job to do," and then the bigger business probably goes from Sally the receptionist, probably goes through 100 lines, the chains of command until the boss says, "Let's go." But in a small business, it moves a bit faster. So I think all business would be using some sort of technologies to run their business and make money. But what sort of tricks or specific technologies is there that the small business can utilise to help them?
Well, there's a number of them. It depends on what you're doing. But as I said, because small business and medium businesses are more agile, they need to have products that are more agile that they can use. For instance, there's products that they are cloud-based. You can use any number of CRMs to manage your sales and marketing and all that sort of stuff. There are ways of doing project management. There's cloud-based systems like Asana, which you can then take to the next level. And because it's a cloud-based system, it's like paying for electricity. It's you pay for what you use. You don't have to pay those large exorbitant prices for putting a new server in, getting the desktops to work. I'll rephrase that. 99% of cloud-based systems will work on a tablet or a mobile phone, so you've got that added extra as well. And then you can actually then make decisions based on how fast you can get to a product or an area that makes it easier for you to do.
So with the varying technologies, you touched on cloud-based. Do you think that the gap between the technologies for the big end of town and the small end of town is closing? The access that small business has to big end of town technologies, that gap's closing as they're both using the same technology, but just a smaller amount of it?
Well, this is right. Cloud-based technologies allows you to literally, if you have 5 people, you can have 5 people on Asana, for instance, and it's going to cost you, let's say, I'm not sure about the costing, but it costs you $25 a month. Now, those 5 users now have access to a enterprise-grade project management system, where you can actually bypass things like email because everything's incorporated into it. And it means that you can set up jobs and you can do other things inside Asana, set up projects, for instance, and then everybody who is involved in that project has access to it. Now, if in the big end of town, they are not only using that, but they're using things like SharePoint. And yes, small business have access to SharePoint through Office 365. So we have this now capability that a small business can now take to the marketplace that means that they're a lot more flexible in what they do, depending on what they're doing. And this comes down to things like accountants, comes down to legal people. They have this platform that they can actually then take and do other things with.
So, sorry, my phone's ringing. I just turned that off. And all right, so because I know, look, I've dabbled with the Amazon cloud. And the way that it works is like everyone, you might be sitting there in your little, I don't know, your little retail store, your little corner shop or something, saying, well, I've got a web page and I need some customer databases and whatever, but geez, I can't go out and afford maybe a $10,000 server just to sit in the back room and just chunk away using electricity. So what I think. Look, I've gone to this. You have a look at this Amazon Web Service system and all the other associated services that they have, and so you buy like a percentage of the computing power. And if for some reason your site or what you're doing requires more power at any certain given time, well then it can automatically scale to accommodate that power. So where you might start off with a very small plan, and grow into or spike into bigger usage plans. I suppose the alternative is the big business will start at a bigger plan and spike even further if they have to.
Yeah, well, this is true, and also Amazon. Even if you go back to Amazon and eBay, for instance, if you're running a e-commerce store. And you do have a promotion that goes out worldwide, and you are lucky enough to have a product that everybody then wants, then the eBay systems and Amazon systems are actually able to cope with that because they have that underlying infrastructure to be able to go, well, you're going to get an extra 5,000 traffic per minute. We need to up your cycles. We need to up your pipe that goes to your site, and you can do that on the fly or with an organisation like Amazon, literally directly. So it means that you can get more flexible in your business, and you can see opportunities. As I said, there are opportunities that make your business life a lot easier because you are no longer relying on the system you've got in the back office or the system you've got under your table or just your laptop, which is another thing that people just think that they need to do.
Yeah, and I suppose, it just takes a lot of headache away from you as well. Like, you don't have to employ server people, $150 an hour, something like that, to come in and tinker.
Well, this is right. And, even right down to if you have a requirement for a server, you can go to Servers Australia, for instance, and buy a server on a monthly basis. And it's $200 or $300, does exactly what you want to do. You access it through their system, and you can do exactly what you need to do to benefit your business. You might want to set a server because you're doing a sales campaign, for instance, and you need a server for 3 months. Well, you can do that with something like Servers Australia because you can bring it up. It costs this X amount of dollars to set it up, X amount of dollars for a monthly component, and at the end of it, you just turn it off.
Now, there's a site not too long ago that was offering, the one-day only deals. Can't remember the name of it, but it sort of famously just got smashed. In the first 10 minutes it was open, and the site came down. Because there was just too much usage. Now, obviously, they hadn't done their due diligence, and they probably didn't, get into something like the Amazon where it would scale, or they didn't, or they just didn't pay for that particular plan. But yeah, so they've obviously just put their site, their little 24-hour sales site, on a little computer somewhere, and then said go for it. But then it got smashed by everyone, and it just came down.
Yeah, well, there was a program in November 2014. Where a large group of retailers, Dick Smith's, Harvey Norman, they all got together and said, we're going to use the digital world for I think it was called the click sale.
Something like that.
Yeah, and that's when people didn't think that it was going to be that productive, but they didn't actually think, well, if we do have a large uptake of the products, what is going to happen to the infrastructure? And again, it comes down to thinking ahead and making sure that you have got your risk analysis done properly, because due diligence on that type of thing would have cost them a fortune, because that they literally lost, let's say, 25% of the sales because people couldn't get to where they needed to go.
Yeah, now that one I just looked up while you were speaking there. It was called the Click Frenzy. I think that's the one referring to. Yes.
Yeah.
And as you can see, like, you can't see, Roger, but up on the screen we've got the various retailers that are participating retailers, and there's quite a few now, like House Barbecues galore, Anaconda Quicksilver. I could go on and on. Heaps of them, and everyone just smashed this website looking for deals. And because the more people, the website or the server can only host so many requests, and once it's full, well, that's down to everyone else.
That is correct.
Just died. Okay, so make sure that you can scale properly if the need arises. Is there any other technology?
Well, I think modern technology always does better than previous technology. And we see this with Windows, we see this with iOS, we see this with even right down to Android and the Mac platform.
Yes.
is that we if you're going from one version to another, there's usually a lot more capability in the next version up. Going back to we were talking before the interview about GarageBand. Previous to the last iOS upgrade on iPhones and iPads, you couldn't use GarageBand, but now you can on a tablet.
Yes.
And that's exactly what we're getting at is the new systems that are coming through, and this includes things like Office 2013, 365. They're always got a capability that has been looked at for small business and medium businesses, and what is it going to benefit? Yes, there's the cost of upgrading can be problematic, but it's better than using, and we've got a person who still uses Office 97 because there's a component in Word that is not replicated in other versions.
Are you serious?
And to me, wow. It's a long-going argument. But they've got a laptop that doesn't hit the internet, that only does this thing, and they use a USB to get backwards and forwards.
Oh dear.
But
yes.
it's something that Word used to do, but doesn't do. But I've never come across any other product that has lost a capability in the newest version.
Yeah, and I think the good thing with Microsoft, and I think they sort of pride themselves on it, is that they're always backwards compatible.
Yes, yes.
Well, to a certain degree. Anyway, but and you touched on Office 365, and this is the way a lot of people, a lot of business, a lot of software creators are going these days. Is you subscribe to them.
Yes.
And so Office 365, you go down the street, you could buy a home and business pack maybe for about $180.
Yep.
But then on the other hand, but once you buy that, you've got the physical media, then you're stuck on that version.
Yes.
Of the 2016 or whatever it might be, until you go and spend another $180 and get the next one. But subscription, if you want to keep up to date with the latest versions, well, I think Microsoft, that 365 is about $12 a month.
Yeah.
You can stick it on 5 computers. This is a small business. I'm not sure what the licensing terms are for larger ones. But subscription, you can stick it on up to 5 computers or whatever it is, and then $12 a month, and then it's just, you can always update. New version comes out, update straight away.
And it's automatically done. It's just part of the routine that Microsoft has got in place. That I'm running Office 365. The updates have come out. It pushes them down to you. You update your systems, and it's in a number of cases it's seamless, and that's really what you want technology to do for your business. It's got to be there for your business, but it doesn't need to get in the way of doing business.
Now, the question of the day is how soon? What would your recommendation be? How soon does something new come out that you should adopt it? So, example, Windows 10.
It depends. Good question. Go on, put me on the spot. When it comes to things like operating systems, and most of the IT industry rely on feedback from the IT industry, and we do a lot of research on, okay, yes, Windows 10 is out, and Microsoft is pushing it like it's never pushed anything before, but there are things that are problematic for it that really people don't want to have to worry about at the moment. One of the standing things that IT professionals has is a new operating system, wait until the first update comes out, then that's when it's safe to put it on. Usually the update is a large one. It's what we call a service pack. And once you get to that level, you'll find that all of the problems that have been discovered in the using of that product in the real world has been then fixed, and then you can go on and use it for the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But that's how we work. When it comes to individuals, then it's really a case of whether your system can handle the upgrade. And although they're saying that Windows 10 has got a smaller footprint on the PC, there are things that it's going to call that are going to require more power, computing power, storage space, RAM, that type of thing, cycles on the processor, and is your old technology going to be able to handle that?
Yeah.
And if you've got anything that's over 2.5, 3 years, then it's probably better to upgrade the whole system, including the actual box itself. So the piece of tin that it goes on, then get Windows 10 and put it on.
Yes. Yeah, because I found just from my experience that laptops were the more of a problem, maybe to progress to Windows 10 than maybe a desktop, just because of the proprietary hardware that's in the laptops. So that's sort of rolling into the next topic, the patch management. And I'm guessing what you mean by patch management is software patching?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So as Roger just touched on, you wait till the first couple of patches come down, or versions or whatever, make sure it's all running stably. That's a nice word, isn't it? Stably. Yeah. And so how what else could you do? Like, I know big organisations, they don't receive the patches automatically. They'll tell their network of computers to no updates, so they must hold them back until they can test them, test them, and then test them all, and then release them out.
Yep. In most large organisations, they've got a development area, which is usually a sub area of one of their organisational structures. And what they do is they'll roll it out to that, see if it doesn't break anything, see if the proprietary software that's working at the moment is still going to work after the updates, and then they'll go, okay, let's push it out to everybody else. In a smaller business environment, that we actually recommend that you apply updates in a timely manner. Now, timely manner can be from the day it comes out to about 3 or 4 weeks down the track, because there are going to be times when, you can't afford to restart your computer and all that. But if you think about it, Microsoft and Apple now have designed it so that you can actually install updates and shut down or restart, and then off you go. You literally, I'm going to bed, do my updates then. And most of the updates that are coming out of Apple and Microsoft nowadays, and Android, have been specifically tested. Yes, some get through that do things and break things, but it's usually something like, I have an Olympus recorder that I put in a cradle, and now the cradle doesn't work. Okay, that is not a life-defining thing, because I can now take it out of the cradle and plug it into USB and it's going to work.
Yes,
but it's a convenience problem. So I need to find out what update screwed that up and roll that update back. And I think, again, it comes down to just being very careful about how you do it.
Yes.
But updates are really, really important from a security component area, because malware is written to target what the updates are fixing.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
And so probably the biggest focus that we've ever seen on that was the thing called Code Red that happened in 2004, 2005. Now, there was a patch for SQL that came out 6 months before Code Red was released. And this was when patching wasn't such a priority in an organization. So 6 months, everybody had been told that they need to patch SQL. This is what they need to do. Download this, upgrade this, bang, it was all right. the code red virus came out, and literally a third of the servers on the internet stopped working.
Yeah, right.
Okay, now that's where the professionals realise that patching now has such an important role in business.
Yes.
Now, we've been fighting that previous set and forget attitude for the last 10 years. Yeah. And that's why people are now pushing that if the update is there, then it's better to apply it and then walk away than not applied at all.
Right. Look, sometimes I've seen a couple of instances where, like, an update, a Microsoft update will break certain things. Like one in recent times, pretty recently, was an Outlook update, and yes. it broke. Or Windows Live update or something. It broke the email client. Or it didn't break it, but it started doing some weird things. But you know what? You identify the problem. You can uninstall the update, thankfully, with the Windows update, and then move on with your life. And then it'll come back down later on after Microsoft's fixed it, patched the patch.
Yeah, patch the patch
and release it back to the wild. But I suppose mission critical machines. Geez, you'd have to test everything. Have a duplicate machine somewhere. But going back to the first topic, like, you could alleviate all this drama. Like, you know, it was saying don't have a server in your back office. You had all your computing power up in the Amazon. Well, all that's taken care of for you.
That's right, and they patch the underlying systems. And this also comes down to things like websites where you've got patches for WordPress, for instance, or Joomla. They come out by the people who have created those applications,
yep.
And those plugins regularly get updated, and I have a standard calendar reminder to get onto all of my websites once a week, and I just update whatever needs to be done. The good thing about WordPress is it updates automatically. So if a new version of WordPress comes out, it updates everything, and I don't have to worry about it. I get an email that says it's been done.
Yes.
But there's also two other components of a website, and that is the actual infrastructure, which is usually Linux-based, and you've got to make sure that whoever's hosting that is patching that as well, because the patching at that level is also critically important, because if you've got a piece of tin that's got 50 websites on it, those 50 websites are now vulnerable because you haven't patched the underlying system.
Yep.
And then you've got things like cPanel, which is another version of, I suppose, an application that allows the websites to sit on it, and they have regular updates as well. Now, we had a website recently that we just moved because the hosting company was still on cPanel 1.1.
Right.
Which is almost 12 years old.
Yeah, right.
And they haven't updated anything along that. And we said, have you intending to update it, or are you going to move it? And they said no. And we said, thank you very much. We'll move our website off somewhere and put it on somewhere else that is going to do this security component. Because the reason why you need to do this is it's got nothing to do with a hacker targeting you. It's got a lot to do with the automated systems that are run by the script kiddies and the hacktivists who are looking for vulnerabilities. Yeah. And that's all they're after. They're not interested in doing any damage, but they are interested in getting into the systems so they can either deface a website, or they can get in and cause havoc with other things as well. Those automated systems are running 24/7, and they are targeting everything on the digital world.
Yes.
And we have to remember that, because that's why it's changed so much in the last 2 or 3 years.
I think a good example of that 24/7 that you just spoke about, remember when XP was with us quite some time ago, you could build a new machine, and as soon as you plugged that machine into the internet, you would get some, was it a conflicker worm or virus or something? And then within 5 seconds, 10 seconds of plugging it into the internet, and the little box would come up and say, you've got a virus, or what, I can't remember the wording, blah, blah, blah. The computer will shut down in 10 seconds with a greyed out cancel button.
Yep.
And the computer shut down. You rebooted it, shut down. You couldn't do it. You just couldn't. Yep. So that's a 24/7. These things are out there. And I'm sure that thing's still there, but it's patched.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Going back to XP, the reason why we no longer use XP, and I've come across XP in the weirdest places that is still working, but people don't understand that XP is now exceedingly vulnerable to all of this type of stuff, because as we go forward, Microsoft is no longer patching it. So when they find a hole in the system, it's just left to be a hole in the system.
Yeah.
And that's why they're putting all of their, I suppose, marketing and sales and everything else into Windows 10 because it is a lot more secure.
Yeah, and it's not, I suppose, viruses, say with XP, it's not that it might cripple your system, but the virus is probably using your system to try and
turning it into a zombie.
That's right.
Yeah.
But look, XP's out there. I see heaps of them. Yeah, heaps of them. All right, so do your patches, everyone.
Yes,
and if a mission critical machine, duplicate the machine and try it out before you do it. But always have a backup plan. Refer back to last week's episode.
Yeah, totally agree. And the smaller the window for the backup, the better it is too.
All right, now let's quickly touch. Now you can tell me if this is a large topic, but 3D printing. What would
I think 3D printing is going to be something that's going to change the world in the near future. Some people think it's just a toy that you can play with, but we've already seen even right down to movies about 3D guns and all this sort of stuff. Now, the wonder of 3D, and I'm seriously thinking that if someone had the money and someone had the capability to create a website where you could take people who have got 3D printers and tie it in with people who wanted 3D printing done, then you will probably make another inroad into something like Uber. Now, the reason why it is 3D printers, all of them are different, but they all do the same thing. They create a digital a product in 3 dimensions, which means that you can make metal components for cars, or you can make what we're seeing nowadays is components for prosthetics.
Yes.
And these are literally going to change how we see manufacturing, because I can get a 3D plan off the internet, plug it into a 3D printer, and I can make my widget that way. And the 3D printer costs have come down. You can now buy a 3D printer for under $200. And these type of things are going to change. Now, the other thing about 3D printers is the bad guys have already seen the capabilities of what a 3D printer can do.
Yeah.
Now, why I say that is there was a documented case where someone had their keys photographed.
Right.
Those keys were photographed from 2 different directions, so they had a 3-dimensional image of it.
Yeah.
This was uploaded to a 3D printer site, which was then quite happily delivered the keys to it, and they got into a premise through these 3D keys.
Wow.
Now, think of that. As I said, people haven't thought of that as a danger. They're quite happy to keep their keys on a key ring that hangs off their belt buckle. So we've now got this transition from the digital criminal and the normal criminal really coming into a blend of both of them.
Yes, yeah, it's crazy. Like as you were talking about making like 3D objects like keys or whatever, you can't see it again. I'm going to fix this one day that you will be able to see what we're seeing.
Yeah.
But we're watching a 3D chocolate printer. It's printing a cup in chocolate.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's amazing. It is it is fair dinkum amazing. The things that you can do. And as you know, it's probably pretty famous that guns have been, made, plastic guns and all this sort of stuff. And I think they've thankfully been banned just about everywhere.
Yep.
But yeah, look, 3D print. Have you got a 3D printer?
No, I haven't. But I've seen how useful they can be. Just going back to the things that we're seeing. There was a hospital in the US who's now getting to the stage where they can print body parts. Now, I'm not talking about prosthetics. I'm talking about hearts and kidneys and all this sort of stuff. And they can print them down to the level where they use a sugar solution to create the veins and the arteries in those systems. Now, that was 12 months ago, so I have no idea how far they've got now. But again, 3D printing is going to change the world to a level where IoT is now changing. Cloud has already changed it, and the internet itself has changed. Yeah,
and I think with the IoT and the BYOD, we'll touch on those next episode, I think.
Yeah,
because we've just about run out of time this episode. It goes fast, doesn't it?
Oh, it does.
It does. But I think 3D printing, I think we've touched on just about what it is, what it does. That's pretty much straightforward. I'm guessing if you have a 3D printer, there's probably patches for that as well.
Yes.
There's firmware
software.
upgrades.
Yep.
Patches and so forth. Yeah, so go and get yourself. They're not too expensive. I think you can even buy them at Officeworks for about $1,000.
Yeah, they're not expensive at all. We can get a 3D printer through places like Digger Data for, as I said, about $200. So
right, and is that? Can you only get? Do you get different sorts that make with different
printing materials?
Yes, different inks. Yes.
Yes, you can, and some of them are interchangeable as well. So you can use plastic and, as you said, chocolate. When it comes to the bigger things like printing car parts in aluminium, then you need something that's going to melt aluminium. So that's a product. Something you're going to pay a lot of money for. But, as I said, it's going to change the world. It really is.
Cool. Good stuff. All right. Well, you can find this episode and the other episodes on iTunes. You can follow the Aussie Tech Heads Facebook page at facebook.com/Aussie Tech Heads. You can find the video of this episode on iTunes and YouTube. If you want to see it on YouTube, just go to youtube.com/Aussie Tech Heads and you will find this and many other shows. And also, if you want to tune in to AussieTechRadio.com, it's a 24/7 back-to-back wall-to-wall audio stream of Australian and New Zealand tech shows, which this show will be in. So you can do that as well. All right, well, thanks for coming in, Roger, once again.
Thank you very much, Glenn. Much appreciated.
And we'll probably see you next episode, which will be out shortly. So if you once again, you can call or Twitter. No one calls these days. You can tweet Roger at SME Security, and you can tweet me at Aussie Tech Heads. All right, until next time, thanks again, Roger. We'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, Glenn.
Cheers. Bye-bye.